Hi, everybody. This is Bill from Berlin Center United Methodist, and this is week 6, day 2. Glad you're tuning in. We're going to be looking at John chapter 11, verses 17 through 27. So, beginning at verse 17. On his arrival, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Now, Bethany was less than 2 miles from Jerusalem, and many Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them in the loss of their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to meet him, but Mary stayed at home. Lord, Martha said to Jesus, if you had been here, my brother would have not died. But I know that even now God will give you whatever you ask. Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. Martha answered, I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this? Yes, Lord, she replied. I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, who is to come into the world. So now I'm going to read from the book, starting on pages 78 and 79. It says, Understanding the Word. Martha is clearly depicted both in Luke chapter 10, verses 38 through 42, and here as a more outgoing of the two sisters. And so naturally she is the first one to go out and meet Jesus as he approaches in their home in Bethany. Bethany was indeed only a couple miles from the heart of Jerusalem, and may well be that this was Jesus' home base when he was in Judea, just as in Capernaum at the house of Peter's mother-in-law, where his home base was when he was in Galilee. We hear from our outset that many Jews, which again may refer especially to Jewish officials, had come to mourn with the family during the week of the mourning. While Martha's grief must be taken into account, it is hard not to hear her opening remarks to Jesus as something of a rebuke, as Martha knows Jesus' power to heal, and she is bitterly disappointed Jesus wasn't there to help. She adds, however, but I know that even now God will give you whatever you ask. She is not thinking of immediate resurrection from the dead, as the continuing dialogue makes clear. So it is not clear what she means by this remark. Jesus tells her that her brother will rise again. She acknowledges the belief in the traditional Jewish idea that there will be a corporate resurrection of believers at the last day, whenever it may arrive. Jesus does not simply affirm this belief, he trumps it by saying not merely that he can give resurrection even now, but he is the resurrection. Whoever comes into contact with Jesus, the life source, whatever their condition, well or ill, alive or dead, can be made truly alive. It needs to be made clear that this kind of claim goes well beyond what was expected of the coming Messiah or a great prophet. They might say that the power of God, healing, could come through them, but they would not say, I am life. Jesus will use the term die in a couple senses in his response to Martha. He says on one hand that even if a person dies, he will live again if he has believed in Jesus. But then he goes beyond this to say that a person who believes in him will avoid eternal death altogether. Notice the words, whoever lives by believing in me will never die. It may be some such saying that led to the later belief that once Jesus raised Lazarus, the beloved disciple, from the dead, that he would never physically die again. This would explain the conundrum of John 21, verses 22 and 23, where the evangelist feels he must explain that Jesus did not say the beloved disciple would live until the second coming, but only if it is my will that he do so. The audience would not need this disclaimer if the beloved disciple had not, in fact, died again. While I am not an archaeologist, nor do I play one on TV, I would love to find the tombstone of Lazarus. It would say, died AD 29, and then below that died again AD 87 or whatever. This would confuse some scholars who do not believe in resurrection of the dead. Notice that resurrection here is not seen as automatic at the end of times, but specifically predicted on the basis of faith in Jesus. Jesus then asked Martha, "Do you believe this?" Again, her response is true but inadequate. She affirms that he is the Jewish Messiah and Son of God, but notice she doesn't say, "You are the resurrection and the life." She interprets what Jesus says in the context of her pre-existing Jewish Messianic belief, as we have noted before. There is a crescendo of confessions in this gospel, confessions that are true about Jesus, but not fully adequate, until ironically unbelieving Thomas gets in the last word, confessing Jesus be Lord and God, which matches up with the prologue in John 1. Those disciples were certainly unpredictable. So now let's take a peek at the questions for this week. Question number 1. What do you make of Martha's confrontation of Jesus and then her confession? Question number 2. How close a relationship do you think Jesus had with his family, whom he seems to know intimately? And question number 3. What are the differences between the resurrection of Lazarus and the resurrection of Jesus? I hope you've enjoyed today's scripture reading and commentary, and I hope you'll take a look at these questions and prepare for our discussion on Sunday of this week's study of John chapter 11. Until tomorrow, have a great rest of your day.